All right, and we're live. It's the Mindstate Marketing Hour with Will Leach. And he's the man that's going to tell us today how to grow your business by building an icon brand. Will, welcome.
Thank you for having me on this show today, Steve. How are you, man?
I'm excellent. And by the way, I'm Steve Brown. I'm your co-host. And every week we do this fascinating conversation with a man who has a book with a new look. It's not this book.
Nope,
it's that
book.
That's right. And what does that book do? It teaches you how to use science to connect with your clients. And I read this book. And if you haven't read this book, you need to, because you're missing out. If you're making marketing content for your audience, then you could be missing out, that you could be dialing in and connecting with them and helping them feel understood even better, because we go through each day in states of mind. And we don't march through like a robot in one state of mind all day. I am Steve. I am Steve. We don't do that. We have emotions. We have conversations. We have ups and downs. And if you knew the state of mind that your perfect clients approach your solution in, then wouldn't you want to write content that honors that state of mind? I say yes. So does Will. Will, why? Why did you write this book?
Well, because I wrote Marketing to Mind States because I saw a massive outage in the industry. I worked in corporate America for most of my time at PepsiCo, where we spent millions of dollars on advertising, and to see a lot of that advertising never really moved the dial. And eventually I got to a point where I started studying behavioral sciences, and behavioral sciences says a lot about best-in-class marketing and how to grow businesses. I fell in love with it, Steve, and left it to start my companies. And here I am today with you talking about all things Mindstate marketing.
All right. So today our topic is how to grow your business by building an iconic brand. Where does this come from? Why do we want to talk about this today? It must be important.
It is. So, as you evolve in your business, there are many people out there, and I've fallen into this trap as well. And oftentimes I'm still in that trap. It's that you try so hard to build your business around a core expertise. That expertise could be a coaching of some kind. It could be a technology that is better than anything else that's out there. It could be a skill that you've honed over the course of 20 years. And you learn as much as you can about a particular topic. For me, that is behavioral science. I would like to say that I am an expert in behavioral science. I study many, many different types of social sciences. But in today's crowded world, just being an expert is not enough to grow your business. And so it started to dawn on me that, it's okay for you to be an expert, but if you want to really achieve the level of success that you're really looking for, whether it's your personal brand or it's your business brand, you need to start thinking about becoming iconic. And that sounds like a weird term, and I don't know how I can be an iconic brand. Well, that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, because it does not take any extra money. It just takes a different mindset and a different way of shifting some of your marketing. And we're going to talk about that today. It's really, really powerful stuff.
So when you say iconic, you and I have talked about it, but what's an expert?
An expert is a dime a dozen, everybody. I know this, and I don't want to belittle your expertise. I think that I am truly an expert. Steve, you're an expert at online marketing and building marketing systems. I'm an expert in the behavioral science space. You out there are an expert in whatever it is that you're doing. Chances are, if you're even relatively successful, you are probably one of the most elite people in the world doing it. The problem is that everybody thinks they are experts, and everybody advertises their expertise. If you are advertising or you're trying to tell your clients that you're the best in something, that is a losing battle. Why? Because I ran the data. Here's what I did. I looked up on Google and I said, marketing expert. I'm a marketing expert, right, Steve? You're a marketing expert, right? So why wouldn't we talk about how we're marketing experts? When I ran the data, if you type in marketing expert, I got 1.6 billion with a B results. So I said, okay, maybe, yeah, right. I'm competing against 1.6 billion with a B people. So, okay, well, let's hone that in a little bit. Let's do digital marketing expert. That's you, right, Steve? Digital marketing expert.
Wait a minute. I want to point something out. 1.6 billion. Then that means there's one marketing expert out of every 7 people you bump into during the day.
That's right. Yeah, right. Yeah, can you imagine? Right. So, okay, so you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, so I'm not a marketing expert. Let's hone in because I'm a different type of marketer. I'm digital marketing. Cool. Let's run that data. I just looked that up as well. Do you know that if you type in digital marketing expert, there are 55 million results, meaning that people are talking to your clients as they are also the marketing expert. So how does your client ever know, or a potential client, when they're like, hey, I just need a marketing expert, I need to grow my business. What do? They go to Google, they search up that term. So now you're probably thinking, okay, we're going to specialize even more. So Steve, here's what I did. This is going to surprise you. I typed in Mindstate Marketing Expert. Now that's a very, very specific field of study. Do you know that there are 583,000 results for Mindstate Marketing Expert? And let's just be honest here. That is my term. I invented marketing to mind states. That is me. There are only 3 people in the world that are experts at marketing, and 2 of them on this show right here. The third one is a guy who lives down the road, who I initially started with my original agency with. That's it. But yet, if you knew anything about Mindstate marketing, you would type that in and potentially find 583,000 hits or results saying that they are Mindstate marketing experts. Guys, if you are competing on expertise, even if you truly are an expert, it doesn't mean that you're going to stand out. You cannot stand out in the crowd because it is so difficult to claim expertise anymore, because technology allows anybody to be an expert, or at least claim to be an expert at any time of day. We all have great case studies. We all have testimonials. We all have points of view that we can claim make us experts. That no longer is a point of differentiation. We need to move that expertise and evolve that expertise into becoming iconic, which is a different thing altogether. It takes your expertise, but it also differentiates you in a way that nobody can compete against.
So tell me, here I am. I've been hustling. I'm pretty good at what I do. But like you said, there's a lot of other people that are pretty good at what we do. Mm-hmm. So how do we differentiate ourselves? When you say iconic, what does that mean? I have to get a big tattoo on my forehead or something like that?
Nope. Actually, let's first even talk about kind of what is, an iconic. Iconic means that you are worthy of attention and praise. It does not mean that you are popular. It does not mean that you are famous. So first off, that you are worthy of attention and praise. And because of that, that in and of itself helps you to naturally migrate into this icon status. So let me just tell you a couple of people who have made this transformation. Tony Robbins, Simon Sinek, Malcolm Gladwell, what's his name? Brian Tracy, Russell Brunson, right? These people had expertise. So let's say if you're Simon Sinek, you found some expertise around finding, his big popular book was Start With Why, right? His TED Talk was Start With Why. And he became an expert in really helping people understand their why. But he was just an expert. And if you look right now, you will find there are many, 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 many companies out there that are telling you, how do you find your why, your purpose, your real purpose in life. Actually, books have been written for centuries on that. Like philosophy is dedicated, one stream of philosophy is dedicated just to finding purpose in life. What did Simon Sinek do? He took this expertise and he created this point of view and a model, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute, to where he started to own and become an icon as it relates to finding your true purpose and your real why. And then he expanded that into other industries and into other frameworks. These people have made that shift. So what it takes is your expertise, but before you even start talking about your expertise, you need to first and foremost start thinking yourself around building this icon or being iconic. And it's starting with understanding that you are an industry leader. You need to get this in your head. You are an industry leader because you have a unique point of view plus a compelling purpose. Those two things are required. Two totally separate things. A compelling point of view and a unique purpose. When you build those things together, you're going to find that you can create a compelling message, a vision that compels people to listen, care, and act. Then you start showing your expertise. So what we need to do is start thinking about this first part. Before you ever became an expert, there was a purpose, and you now have a point of view based upon that purpose, and we need to marry those things together to create a vision. That's what Simon Sinek did. That's what Tony Robbins has done. That's what Oprah Winfrey has done. All these people have created this vision.
When you think about the common aspects of those folks that you mentioned, many of them have books. Many of them have podcasts or shows or some form of platform where they're getting to share their expertise. But think about what's behind the production of a book. You've written a book. I've written a book. I understand it real clearly now since I went through that. But there's this conversation that goes from, I'm really good at what I do, but I have a unique version of what I do. I have a unique perspective. I need to sit down and start to clarify it on paper. So it's like, I heard this comment the other day. You think about it's like making the dots, but when you write it, it starts to connect the dots.
Yeah. Writing a book is not an easy thing. You and I did it. It takes a better part of a year. But the hardest part was not communicating my expertise. That's kind of in the second half of the book. The hardest part is sitting down and making sure that you have to set up a book with what's the problem out there. That is oftentimes your purpose. Like you found a purpose in life. You have to communicate that. And then after that, you're like, okay, well, so there's an issue. Okay, now you have to come up with that point of view. Like, why should I listen to your point of view versus all the other people? That's what a book forces you to do. Then in the second half of the book, well, now here's my expertise. Based upon my purpose in life, my purpose on writing this book, I have a unique point of view on how I can handle this purpose. Now let's do that. That's the hardest part about writing a book, but it's so clear. In that book, I was iconic. I at least met the criteria of being an icon long before that book was published, right? Why? Because I had a compelling point of view and a distinct or a purpose, I guess, a distinct point of view and a compelling purpose long before that book ever came. Those things, the podcast, being put on media, doing shows, having a show like this, those things, you'll never be successful unless you have your point of view first. If you're an icon first, right? And being an icon, guys, if you're thinking, whatever, why do I care? Here's why you care. Being an icon helps you stand out. That's what we're talking about, differentiation. Being an icon attracts ideal clients. Ideal clients, the ones that pay more for your services, the ones that are not a big hassle, the ones that are not asking you to drop your prices, those people want to work with iconic visionary leaders. That the best clients want to work with the best. You don't have negotiations on price if you're an icon. You shouldn't anyways. Doesn't make any sense. You're the very best. You're leading your industry with your thinking. Being iconic allows you to charge more for your expertise. Being iconic allows you to be resilient to competitive forces. You know how hard it is for somebody to also say they're an icon because they can't steal your unique point of view. They don't have the same experiences. They can't steal your purpose. Why? Because you have a unique purpose. It's very difficult to compete against somebody on that. They have to find their own. And that's not an easy task. We just talked about that. Being iconic allows you to expand into other industries. If you're an expert, you're going to be focused on just one industry generally, right? You're an expert in that field. But if you're iconic, your vision can spread across many different industries. You can ladder up that vision. That's what Simon Sinek did. He started thinking about your purpose as what is your why behind behind yourself. Then he moved that into management of people. He moved that into branding. So this idea expanded way into other industries. It also allows you to start getting speaking events. Like if you think you're an expert and you want to go and figure out how to speak on stage, I am telling you, you're a dime a dozen and nobody cares. No conference organizer cares about you're a better digital marketer than somebody else. You know what they do care about? Somebody who has a vision, somebody who's going to challenge the industry. Same thing with producers for TV shows. Same thing with podcast producers who are looking for clients and looking for people to be on with them. Forbes and all your messaging and magazine platforms, they're all looking for people who are visionary, that have something that say more than just here's what I can do for you. They want you to paint a picture of a better world. If you have those things, those producers of those shows and writing for Forbes is very easy to do. Why? Because you're different. That's why being iconic matters in migrating yourself from, this idea of being an expert into this icon status.
The thing I realized is that there's this process called, when you start to become an expert, when you begin your journey, there's this imitate. So you watch other people and you imitate what they're doing. Right. While you're imitating, you begin to assimilate. You start to learn lessons. You start these, but then at some point you go from assimilation into creation. And that's when you declare a unique perspective that can be controversial, that people in your industry that you imitated while you were assimilating may not agree with. But that's what people at those conferences are looking for. That's what people want to read, is someone who has a unique perspective. And think about where you stand. I have the confidence to say something that not everybody in my industry agrees with, but I have it. I have stuff to back it up with. That's different than the imitation. And
no, I love what you just said too. You have something to back it up with. Why? It's because you've been honing your craft for so long, your point of view. You took the time, the maturity comes to where you can validate. So don't be controversial for the sake of being controversial. Any 21-year-old kid can be controversial. It's through experience and it's through thinking and working with others to where you do find a unique point of view that sometimes is controversial, and the best ones create tension. Just like in any marketing, right? Any marketing success comes from tension. And when you can find tension in your industry or tension between your point of view and somebody else's point of view, that's compelling stuff, guys. You're gonna, some people may not like you, but those that do will love you. That's iconic thinking.
So you have 5 simple shifts to transform from expert to icon.
I do. I think there's a mindset shift, right? And I didn't say mind state on purpose, right? It's a mindset shift. It takes a little bit of time. And you may be thinking, why am I taking a step back? I've already been working as my expertise. Can't I just put more money into advertising? Can't I just, maybe try to start my own thing? Yeah, you can start your own podcast. You can do these things. You can try to start a blog if you want. But if you're not getting the results you want, it's probably because you are still trying to dig deeper into expertise. So stop focusing on building deeper expertise. If you're an expert already, you already have successes, you've been doing what you're doing for a while, stop trying to go deeper into that expertise. Why? Because we just said, by you trying to say that you're a better expert than somebody else, that's a losing battle. Your clients can't tell the difference, or your potential clients have no idea. Maybe your clients do know the difference. Potential clients, when you're trying to grow your business, do not know. You're competing against tens of thousands of other people in your industry who are telling your clients, I'm also an expert. So I like to always say, we're deep in expertise. Do you know how easy it is to say that you're an expert? Data is basically free, right? Data is out there. I can go to Google and look up a topic very easily, and I can very quickly be, after a half hour's worth of reading, convince somebody that I'm an expert on something. Why? Because it's available. I have talk points because data is everywhere and it's free and it's ubiquitous. So stop trying to focus on building deeper expertise. And why that's even more important is if you are building your coaching practice, your agency, your brand, your service, whatever it is, on expertise, you damn well better be correct every single time. Why? Because I'm paying for an expert. That requires you to have the fastest knowledge, and really knowledge that comes in quickly is oftentimes variable. It hasn't been kind of flushed out. The latest learnings, the latest data points, if you think you can compete on expertise, you better make sure that data is right every time, because one failure and all of a sudden, you know what? This guy's marketing didn't work, and you're out on Google, or your client's out there on Google talking about you. Next thing you know, then you have bad reviews. So what I'm going to tell you to do is stop trying to build expertise and go deeper into your industry. What I want you to start thinking about is going back to that idea of starting to find a compelling vision that you have and a very distinct point of view.
That just point of view. It's like that comes from you realizing and recognizing patterns in your experience with your clients, with your team, with your industry. And that's what people really want. People buy you, and they buy you because they trust you. But the thing that makes you valuable is that maybe you're seeing an area that not everyone is seeing. And that's what's appealing. That's what they need. and it's extremely valuable. And it's more than being an expert. It's like being like connected and knowing what you need more from watching these patterns.
Yeah, it's important, the pattern side of it. We may have talked about this about a year ago, but some people ask me sometimes, well, how did you create your model? And here's what I did. Specifically, what I did was I started looking at as many different types of sociology or social science books as possible, but I didn't just read them so I could be smarter and build expertise. I looked for patterns. And so I tell people, you have one book in front of you and you have another book. And as you're reading the other book, what you should be doing is always looking back to where are the patterns from the first book. Same thing when you're working with clients. When you start seeing patterns, when you start really comparing study to study, book to book, client to client, you'll start seeing patterns. I love what you just said there, Steve, because patterns it starts to build your unique point of view. So that second shift, that we're just talking about is, the first shift was stop trying to build expertise and deeper expertise. Instead, start working on developing a compelling vision. And here's what a compelling vision is composed of. It's composed of two different things. We've said them again and again, but it's that important. You have a compelling purpose, and what gets you up. You're in your business, you're in your field for a reason. It's probably not money. It's something else that got you. You could have made money in lots of different industries. Something gets you up in the morning. The purpose you started your business, the reason why you're on that brand team. That's the purpose. But then that distinct point of view. So let me give you an example. You asked me earlier, why did you write Marketing in Mind States? My purpose was I knew marketing was broken. I had been in the marketing field for about 15 years and we're doing everything correct. And frankly, a lot of times marketing falls flat. It's not consistent. The results from marketing is not consistent. We just throw that out there like, oh, well, better luck next time. We got to throw more money at it. Or let me go get another agency because this agency sucks. That's not true. There is science behind marketing. I knew that. That was my purpose. My purpose was I knew that marketing was broken. But so what? Lots of people think there's marketing is broken. Well, we can use data. We can use more creativity exercises. My point of view was behavioral science was an untapped resource. So my distinct point of view was behavioral science can help fix that problem, that the purpose that I was standing for, which was like marketing's broken. People are spending a lot of money on marketing. They're not getting the results they want. People who receive marketing, they think marketing's hurt. It's invasive. It's confusing. It forces people to get out of websites and things like that. So with those two things, my purpose, marketing is broken. My vision, behavioral science is a solution. I created a vision, and this vision is almost a decade old now. Right? I didn't publish the book until 2018. That vision started in 2012. So years before I ever wrote the book. And it was kind of going through, okay, what's my vision? And to me, it was mind state marketing. It was that I understood through behavioral science is that we have these different mind states throughout the day. And if I could just message to the subconscious mind state, I can get much more effective marketing results. Why? Because behavioral science proved it out. And I started to formulate this model. And it's not the same model you see in the book because I looked for patterns, right? We just talked about that. So I looked for patterns. Through that pattern identification, I got to shift number 3, which was when you find these patterns and you have this new vision, which in my case was Mindstate Marketing is the solution. Okay, well, that took me over 15, almost 20 years of studying marketing insights, being in the field for a while. I had a lot of expertise. But how do I communicate that expertise to a client who knows nothing about the subconscious, who knows nothing about behavioral marketing? That's what I did was I said, okay, the shift number 3 you need to make into becoming an icon is to create a simple framework or a model that communicates all these years worth of work and effort and your expertise into something that is very clear, easy to understand. So create a framework of some kind, create a model. And there are so many different models, right? Some of the classic ones out there, you guys probably heard of the hierarchy of needs, right? Maslow had a hierarchy of needs, which is a pyramid. That is just a conceptual model that your brain looks at and says, that's a simple thing to follow. My model are 4 little circles, right? Goals, motivations, regulatory approach, and cognitive heuristics. So I have these 4 models, or these four parts of my model. But the way I dimensionalize that is through like this idea of a framework of a GPS. I have to know where I want to go. I need to have an engine that allows me to get to a place. I need to have a shortcut to get to that place, and I need to have the right road. So I've talked about this before, but I created a framework that people can go, yeah, this makes sense. Your framework is honestly your biggest asset, because if you can communicate your expertise and your vision for the industry, and if you can communicate this in a model or a framework of some kind, and there are many, 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 many different ways you can do that, right? But if you can't do that, then it doesn't matter. People are confused. You can't communicate 20 years worth of your expertise in a paragraph. You need to do some sort of a conceptual framework or a model. And that takes creativity. Then after you've done that, protect it at all costs. Like, your model is your most important asset. So what I mean by protect at all costs, you better trademark something. You better get some sort of legal protection, because I'm telling you that once your model takes off, and if you haven't got it kind of, protected in some way, somebody takes it. Just like you said, actually, Steve, a little while ago, that people, they're inspired by your work. And what do? They take the ideas. I've had authors take literally my model and put it into their article, but never give me credit for it. They talk about goals, they talk about the motivations or whatever. It happens all the time. It's out there. People are doing. There's a guy, I'm pretty sure that my book, I saw it one time anyways, that my book is actually published in China under a different author's name. It's not my book at all. I mean, it is my book, but it's under another author's name. People steal ideas. It just is. So get your stuff protected at all costs. Talk about the model as much as you can, so you own that term. And that's some of the stuff that actually you're working with me right now, right, Steve, is to build so much validation and authority over the term and the model itself that you just can't own it, because anybody that looks that term up, they will see my name again and again and again.
Absolutely. You think about Tony Robbins, Simon Sinek, Donna Miller. That's when the light bulb went off for me. They each have this framework or this model or their process or their system. And you know where that comes from. It's from recognizing a pattern that is consistent to everything that you touch and do and see. That then what did they do? They sat down and deliberately kind of studied it and named it. And then put a visual representation of it, and that became their model. And that is iconic. That is an iconic exercise. So here, number 4 is like, you determine the mind state to message against. I was curious. I haven't seen this against before. What are we?
Yeah. So here's what I mean by that. So all you've done at this point is created, which is very important, the base of incredibly effective, kind of branding for your company or for your personal brand. You have gotten all that's required to make you iconic. But now what? Like, okay, so you have this compelling purpose and you have this distinct point of view, and you now have a vision for your industry. And I've gone ahead and I've created a framework of some kind. Great. But people need to know about that. That's what the book Marketing to Mind States was written to do. What it does is it helps you identify the psychological mind state of your elite, customer or your ideal client, whatever you want to talk about, your segment. And you can identify 1 or 2 core mind states that they're under when they are looking to make a deal, when they're looking to buy. So just so you guys, if you've not read the book, Marketing to Mind States, a mind state is a temporary moment of emotional arousal where you're much more susceptible to influence. That's like what we call hot states, right? When you're in a hot state, you're not thinking pros and cons of decisions. You're just like, this feels right. This feels natural. What I want you to consider is that your product is your iconacy. What do you call it? Like, it's your iconic brand. We have to come up with a term for that, right? So if that is your product, in essence, that's what you're selling. If you want to differentiate yourself, you're not selling your expertise or a technology. You're selling your vision that you bring to the industry. You better be able to message correctly. So I want you to do is take your mind state. There's activities in the book. You can learn how to identify a mind state and then craft your messaging so that now when people hear your message, it just makes sense. It's intuitive. It's natural. Why? Because it was written scientifically in a way that will get people to listen, care, and act. So determine the mind state to message against, and then actually start messaging.
All right. So number 5, it's invest in experts who can help with this transformation. Ooh, that sounds expensive.
Doesn't have to be, but I like the word investment, right? Here's the idea, guys. It took me the better part of 20 years to, figure all this stuff out. And I did it through a lot of trial and error, and I made some mistakes along the way. Steve, you've been doing it for a long time. How long have you been learning your expertise and trying to build your brand out there?
I was thinking about that. In this world, I've been working with clients for over probably 13 years now in this capacity, going on our 10th year with ROI. But I was delving in aspects of this before that even.
That's right. So why would you ever want to go through our journey? If you're out there listening, you're like, okay, I want to become an icon. Why in the world would you want to do that on your own? You don't want to look like no hair like me and Steve, right? You have a great head of hair. My point is this: there are experts who have done this. There are people. It's not just us. There are people who have made that transition from kind of being a brand or an expert into becoming an iconic brand, to becoming an industry icon. How do you know who these people are? You go to any industry website, you go to any major conference, you start looking at the speakers. Chances are, especially if you find speakers that are not talking about the 10 ways to do this, that tends to be expertise. What you want to do is look at your keynote speakers and people who are talking about why something, or putting some sort of a spin on a much larger project or a much larger initiative. You want to look at your keynote speakers. Chances are, because industry speakers oftentimes are iconic, don't have to be popular, don't have to be famous. I've headlined a lot of conferences, and I'm not famous in any way. I'm up on there as the keynote speaker for conferences of thousands of people because I bring something different to the industry. So those people are icons. You need to hire people who have made this transition and let them mentor you. Doesn't have to be expensive at all. I mentor people right now. I have people who are former students who come up to me like, I'm in year 3 of my career. Can we just sit down once a month and talk about this? Of course. Find a mentor. And if you have to pay for expertise, the word invest, it matters. It's not a cost. It's an investment. If you can save me 5 years, if you can get me to my icon status where I have all the kind of the beginnings of my vision all set up, if you could help me work through that, in a year versus me coming up with it in 5 years, for 4 years, I can recoup that investment because I'm speaking on shows, right? Producers are asking me to come on their podcasts. I'm writing for Forbes. Why? Because I have something to say. That's why it's an investment. Don't try to figure this out yourself. Go hire somebody who can do the work for you. Steve, you do this work for me. I've hired you to help me take my message out to the masses. And you've done a great job. We have a show. We're on YouTube now. We have podcasts. We're writing for Forbes. We have this whole new pillar strategy that we're working on that's going to take my message to the masses. If I was to try to figure that out myself, I would be dead and gone long before I ever met any of my goals that I have for myself. So this is not a cost, Steve. It is an investment in you. I'm sure you invest in other people to help you take your business to the next level. If you're out there listening to this, you need to invest in somebody, an expert, some kind of an icon who has done this work already, who can get you there much, much faster.
It'll shortcut the process. You'll stay sane. You'll cry in the shower less.
That's right. That's right. You'll sing in the shower if you're an icon.
That's right. Sing. Remember when you used to sing in the shower?
Ooh, well, that's
when you know you're in your zone, when you sing in the shower instead of cry. Okay. So, hey, great conversation. I love this.
Me too.
So now it's time, Will, to test you. Let's watch you dance. Let's see if you can answer these questions. These people are giving us great questions around the topics that you should know about. So let's see if you can do this. Yep. What are the top customer insights I should focus on in business?
Nice. Okay. So the first thing I would say is I'm gonna talk about 2 different types of insights. Probably the first one is just your financial insights. You need to understand, being a business owner myself, there are, I would say, 2 insights or 2 metrics or 2 things I need to know all the time about those people that I serve. The first thing I would tell you is the lifetime value. Basically, the revenues over the course of, years and years, hopefully, that I get to, work with my clients, I need to know that value of those revenues, and then my cost to serve. What are my true costs to serve? And there's lots of books on this, guys, but cost to serve, do you realize that sometimes when you have clients that you love to death, but if you looked and that they're calling multiple times, having multiple meetings to a point where you are, spending hundreds of hours a year that you're not accounting for, then, the cost to serve is higher. So it's important for you to understand the total lifetime value that they give you, the total revenues they're going to get you, plus your costs. But as a insight side, I would say the top insights I would want to know, always the same four. First, what are their goals, their aspirational goals that they have for themselves? That directs their behaviors. Next, I want to understand is their motivation. There are 9 core motivations I talk about in my book. That tells me what gets them, what's their desire, and it helps me understand what types of products and services do I want to build, and also helps me understand how to message correctly to them. Third thing I want to know is how do they approach their goals? Are they either seeking to minimize bad things in their life, or are they trying to maximize good things in their life? That changes the way I position my company, and I look at my features and products and my features differently. I write about them differently. And lastly, what are their purchase triggers? What gets them to make a quick, fast decisions? If I know those 4 customer insights, I have everything I need to optimize my messaging, my products and services, my branding, all based upon the subconscious of my customer.
You're so iconic in that. Well,
it's distinct. And it's protected, you guys out there. It's protected.
I think he knows what he's talking about now. He's being iconic. How much should I invest in behavior segmentation? What is behavior segmentation before we invest in it?
Yeah, behavioral segmentation, the way I define it, is that it is looking at customer transaction data of some way. These are people who visit your website, people who buy your product, people who engage with you. But it's purely based upon their behaviors, click-through rates, open rates, what do they purchase, how often do they purchase? So that's a behavioral segmentation. You look at their behaviors, and then you create different segments of people who are interacting with you a little bit, medium, and then a lot. So if what the original question was how much would I invest in that? I would say not $1, unless you are able to understand the why behind those behaviors. Like I said, data is very easy to get to anymore, and just understanding what happens on your business, I don't think that's very difficult to do. I think you could do some rudimentary calculations, and you could create your own behavioral segmentation if you just kind of looked at some basic metrics. So I wouldn't pay anybody to do that for me. I would just go do that. Now, if you want to understand why people are, reading your emails and they're opening your emails, or why they're not, or why are they engaging on your website but they're not buying, now there makes some sense for me to go invest in somebody who understands that world and will help me identify the variables and the factors I need to go change to get them to improve their behaviors. So I wouldn't invest anything unless it also helped me understand why those behaviors were happening.
Love it. All right. So what is the difference between a psychographic and a mind state?
Wow. I like this one. Oh, this is a good one. Okay. So let's define a little bit of these. So the way I think about a psychographic, and let's actually think about the way we understand customers. We can understand customers from a demographic perspective, looking at things like age and possibly gender, income, where they live in the world, whatever. Those are kind of what we consider demographics. Then we have psychographics. Now, this is understanding a little bit more around kind of what makes them tick. And if you want to do a psychographic, or if you want to understand somebody's psychographics, it probably is around these 3 things, right? It's going to be their attitudes, their beliefs, and their preferences. So understanding what attitudes they have for you or in your category, what are their beliefs? Do they like you? Do they not like you? Some of the why on that. And then also their preferences. I prefer this over the other. Those tend to be psychographics. Why those matter is that helps you understand that person a little bit deeper. It's not just that they're, age 55 and they live in California. It helps you understand their age 55, they live in California, and they have this particular belief, or they have this preference for this food over another food. Great. Now, the difference between that, a psychographic, and a mind state is that a mind state It helps you understand that psychographic at a deeper level. Most segmentations nowadays are psychographic in nature. But what it doesn't uncover is that in the moment when I'm making a decision, there are these psychological temporary mind states that help me understand why you do what you do in that moment. That's when I understand people's goals, their motivations, their approach, and then their triggers. So think of these two as separately, but they should be working together. If you have a great, psychographic segmentation, awesome. You should overlay mind state on top of that, because that'll get you much deeper understanding of those moments in time where you have to message just slightly different. What I like to tell my clients is that when you look at your psychographic and you're looking at your behavioral data, and you're like, wait a minute, my psychographic said that this person is health conscious, but yet they're eating Oreos. Every other basket purchase is Oreos. They're crushing Oreos. That is not because your psychographic is wrong. It means that you did not understand the mind state somebody is in, like I get at 8 p.m. every night, where I like to think I'm health conscious, but I need that Oreo fix. I am in the right psychographic, health conscious. My behavior is slightly different. I'm eating those Oreos. Why? I'm in a different mind state. That's why you want to do both.
It's interesting. Do you think that we've been around a psychographic and didn't know it?
Been around it? What do you mean? Well, no.
You go through your day, you meet people. How do you know you didn't meet a psychographic and didn't know it?
That's right. Thanks, Steve. That was good. That was good. I'm letting that. That's pretty cool. Psycho. I love it all. It's good. It's good. Yeah, but there are all these psychographics out there. Be careful, guys. Be out there. It's Halloween. Be careful of these guys and girls.
All right. So Will Leach, Mindstate Marketing Hour. So what? We've been listening to you. Obviously, you know what you're talking about. We want to be iconic. How can I work with you, Will, and learn a little bit how we can start to apply these things to my specific situation if I've been listening to you?
Yep. If you go to mindstategroup.com, we have a ton of different services and programs to meet your needs at whatever level you're at. Wherever your business is, we have certain needs. We have a starter pack, which would give you access to the book and some downloads if you're just getting your feet kind of wet and getting started in your journey of becoming iconic. If you want to take it to the next level, we have a masterclass, which is a great way, a do-it-yourself video-based program that will give you the key principles in the book Marketing to Mind States, but it's going to teach you how to do this for your business by showing you a massive case study where we took a brand and we built it from the bottom up using Mindstate Marketing. And the last thing is our new program. It's called the Partnership Program. And this is where you and I work together over the course of months. We have live interactions. You get access to the book. You get access to videos. You're going to do assignments, but we're basically going to work together for 3 months to teach you everything you need to know from the very beginnings of identifying your purpose all the way to where you're auditing your marketing. You know how to look at your marketing and audit it to make sure it's psychologically optimized for your customers. So lots of different services out there. Go to mindstategroup.com if you want to learn more about those. And you can always check out a training video that's on there. They'll give you a 45-minute training. And then if you want to just speak with me, hit that little button at the very bottom of that training and you can schedule time with me and we'll just talk through some options, see if any of them fit for you.
Excellent, Will. So what are you doing this weekend that is going to add to your iconicity?
You know what? Now, I know you didn't know this. I'm actually traveling on a plane for the first time since 2000 and the last time I actually traveled was for 2020 Super Bowl. So I'm going to California to meet a whole bunch of different CEOs. I'm going to like a CEO summit where we're all going to go work together from Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, learn from each other. Remember we talked about last week, right? Of having people who you can talk to, who you can experience life with, having mentors. So I'm going to go do that. I'm going out to California with we like to call it my pride. They're a Lions pride of mine, and I'm looking so forward to it. Meeting great people, about 40 different CEOs, and we're just going to learn all about new ways of advertising and how do we grow our businesses together. So I'm going to be in California, man.
Well, tell them I said hi.
I'll do my best. What are you doing this weekend? Anything good?
I'm not traveling I'm going to do some laundry.
Oh, that's icon stuff right there, man.
I'm going to clean up the backyard, take the dog for a walk. I'm going to do the those grounding things that are a part of being iconic.
There you go. Hey, ground yourself. Don't become don't become so iconic that you need to have only green M&Ms, at your house. I like that, Steve. Keeping it humble. That's what I love about you.
All right, so here we go. We're going out with an outro. I want you guys to know we've got some exciting news. The Mindstate Marketing Hour is now a podcast. You can find us everywhere that you would listen to, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and also be sure to follow us on YouTube. We're posting these now on YouTube, so subscribe. That way you won't miss a thing. Will, what a nice outro.
That's great.
We'll see you next week at the same time, being iconic. You guys reach out to Will if you need a little help. Talk to you soon.
See you guys.
That's a wrap.